Hey guys, this is Addon again. This is going to be the second video in my add-on tutorial series. This video is going to be going over the add-on WeakAuras. I think in the first video I forgot to mention WeakAuras, but it's kind of got the most interest from the guild right now, so I'm just going to go over how I set up WeakAuras for various characters. I'm going to start off here with my Resto Shaman. And I'm going to show a quick demonstration of how you would set up a WeakAura to show you how many stacks of TidalWaves you have. TidalWaves is a buff that Resto Shaman get that reduces their cast time of their next two healing wave or greater healing wave by 30%. So I really want to track that, so I don't have to be looking up here in the corner all the time to know, how many stacks I've got. So I'm going to go ahead and type /WeakAuras, and it's going to pop open the WeakAuras options. I'm going to leave this off to the side because it's a little bit easier to see when you're creating new ones. So if you click on New here, it gives you a whole variety of options you can choose from, the most common of which is going to be texture. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick texture, and I'm going to call it TidalWaves 1. So if you go to the Display tab, you can choose what kind of texture you want. You see right now by default it goes to this sun-like thing. But I'm going to go to the Power Auras Heads Up, and I'm going to pick this waves looking one because it is TidalWaves. And then I'm going to go to color, and I'm going to select kind of a light blue. And over here, if you wanted to adjust the opacity, you could do that as well. So I'll just leave it at that. Now that looks a little bit small, a little bit hard to see. So if you come down here to width and height, you can up those a little bit. I'm going to make it 300 by 300. And that looks pretty good. For the X and Y offset, that changes it horizontally and vertically if you want. I like to leave it in the center. Alright, if you go to the Trigger tab, there's a variety of triggers you can choose, either Aura, Event, or Status, or you can write custom, but I'm not going to really cover that right now. Let's see here. Status, if your health gets low or you have a certain amount of holy power or combo points or stuff, you can do that. But personally, I'm just going to do it with this aura because it's a buff. Alright, now the aura name that I want to watch for is going to be TidalWaves. So I'll type in TidalWaves, and it comes up with the icon right here. Unit, player is yourself. You can select other things if you want, but I'll just stick it on myself. It is a buff, and I want this to show up if I have greater than or equal to 1 stack of TidalWaves. Okay? Alright, load. I only want this to show up if I'm on a shaman. I don't want this coming up on any other characters, not that it would, but you can pick a variety of scenarios in which you want these to show up or not show up, such as in combat or not. Since I'm doing this as a trial, I'm not going to require combat, but you probably will want to. Alright, actions, you can have it play a message or a sound whenever it gets activated. This is really useful on fights where you have something that you really need to avoid, and you're having a difficulty, hitting your dream on Deathwing or something like that. Animations, you have a start, main, and a finish animation. This is, how it shows up on the screen, how it leaves the screen, and what it does while it's on the screen. So I'm setting fade in for start, fade out for finish, and for the while it's on the screen, I'm going to leave this one. I'm going to leave this one as it is, and later on I'll maybe mess around with it, maybe do a pulse or something like that. But for the time being, I'm just going to leave this as none. So it'll just be pretty much static on the screen. So this is the preview. It is loaded already because I am on a shaman. So let me go ahead and close this and see if that's working. So let me go ahead and throw Riptide. And there it is. So it shows up on my screen. You see I've got 10 seconds left on Riptide, but let me go ahead and use it up, and this should disappear as soon as I finish my second cast. And there you go, it disappeared. So now that just shows me that, okay, I have TidalWaves, and that's great. But what I'm going to do is I actually want one of these little textures for each stack of TidalWaves. So I'm going to go to New Texture. I'm going to call it TidalWaves 2. And then I'm going to right-click on it, And let's see here, I'm going to go to copy settings from, and then I'm going to click on TidalWaves 1. And now it looks like exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is just on the display, I'm going to come here and I'm going to increase the size of this one to like 350 by 350. Actually, maybe a little bit bigger even. Make it 400 by 400. And then if I go to animations, I'm going to go to preset and I'm going to set it to pulse. So that means I have 2 stacks, and it's letting me, okay, you've got 2. It's letting me know, you've got 2 stacks. You got to do something with these tidal waves. Now, these are technically 2 separate WeakAuras at the moment, but what I would like to do is I would like them to show up at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to say Group. I'm going to call it TidalWaves Group. All right. And then I'm going to click on this little arrow next to TidalWaves 1. It says put this display in a group. And then I'm going to stick it in the TidalWaves group. I'm going to do the same thing with TidalWaves 2. So if I expand this out now, you see both of them on the screen here as your preview. For TidalWaves 2, one thing I need to change is I need to go change my trigger. The stat count now needs to be greater than or equal to 2 because I want this one to disappear once I lose 1 stack. So in theory, I think that should cover everything. So let me go ahead and close it. And I'm going to throw a Riptide. And there you go. I've got 2 stacks of tidal waves. And I can know this without looking up here at my buffs. I've just got it on my screen. And look, in about 5 seconds, when this fades, they're both going to disappear. And I should have nothing. There you go. It goes away. Now the other option for it to go away is if I actually use it. So I'm going to go ahead and cast. And then the outside ring goes away, and then I cast again, and then the inside ring goes away. So that's just a quick example of how you can do weak auras on a Resto Shaman.